Welcome home, welcome back. This is Up in Canada. I'm your host, Dominic Raphael, or you could call me the Doctor, because the Doctor is signing in from an undisclosed location. Sounds so secretive, doesn't it? But it's not. Fourth installment of the four-part series that I've been doing. The first one I did was, let me have to check my notes here again. It was, the narrative, overreach of the government. And there was the outcome, which we filmed just a few days ago. And this is the economics. Now you ask me, what has this got to do with any economics? Well, quite honestly, it has everything to do with economics. Let's look at history for a little bit. Back in World War I, what was the main motive behind that war? Well, it was domination, oil and gas. And what happened in World War II? Well, sorry to say the same thing. Again, it was oil and gas. A lot of the small wars since the Second World War II, the activity going on up in Russia and the Ukraine, it's always been about oil and gas. It's no secret. You can see it anywhere on YouTube that there are loads of videos that have to do with oil and gas in Russia. They have, maybe they don't have the technology that SpaceX and the United States now has at their beck and call. Maybe they don't have the same resources and tech as, let's say, Facebook or YouTube or Google or Microsoft. All high tech anyways. Anyways, getting back to the point. Economics. Every time there is a conflict within the sphere of this planet, it has to do with economics. It is either resources that have been stolen from another country, sanctions brought against another country, or somebody trying to be more than what they should, like a dictator. I'm not bringing anyone to mind at the moment. I just happen to be up in Canada, no pun intended. But we're not only becoming a economic dependency on our lives. That is what the World Economic Forum was designed to do. They, like most people are recording and reporting on YouTube. Of course, you don't see it in the main media because nobody wants to cover that. Is things of like digital passes. The pandemic was a good example of trying to bring that into someone's backyard, literally. And let's say that it is a sad day from my point of view. A sad day in the history of humankind that something as fundamental as your day-to-day living and access to, what is modern day conveniences has become a tool, as they like to say up in Canada, in their toolbox, as they say up in Canada, to control the narrative. See, we're going back again. It was the narrative, there was the overreach, then there's the outcome, and guess what? We're now at economics again. So let's just say, for example, better yet, if you are undesirable, or if somebody has some juicy news about you, true or not true, unknown sources, and they try to use that to their advantage and to basically knock off their opponent. It can get down to the dirty, the nitties, and the gritties of people who you actually know. Yes, I'm talking family maybe, in-laws, outlaws, because there's a perception that in order to live a certain way, everybody has to fall in line. Well, that's not the human species in any case, or in any manner, that we don't fall in line because we're all very individual. We have individual beliefs, we have individual thought, we have individual intentions. And when somebody who is power hungry or trying to get power and control cannot get that under control, they become out of control. Kind of see the difference or no difference in the subject that I'm talking about. I did want to make one specific point, and I'm going to say economics. Let's look at the last 2 years. Actually, no, let's look at the last 8 years and the way the system seems to try to discredit and devoid anybody who might want to become independent of the system. Back in 2014, a purchase was made of property at a fairly decent, reasonable, and actually more than generous price. And that was done by Parket Vending Incorporated. Now, Parket Vending Incorporated had plans, had designs, had intentions to become independent of the system. And that was soon quashed. Only less than a year, actually maybe even less than 6 months from the time of the purchase. Because at the time of the purchase, rules, regulations, you have to get a realtor, you have to get the banks okay, you got to get a lawyer involved, you got to get all of the particulars done in order to basically allow yourself to live, breathe, and work in the area, in something that you own. Now, quite honestly, nobody owns anything. This planet was not divided up for each individual to take advantage of and use at their discretion, either for gains or for losses or for long-term intentions. But getting back to the point, a realtor said to me, if you want, we can flip this. You can make some good money on it. And I said, I'm no intentions and have no intentions of flipping it. He says, no, really, I think you could do really well on this because I know there's others that are interested in this property. I go, you're my realtor and I'm not interested in flipping it. I have plans. Persistent as can be. The next step was, you could probably earn $40,000 more than what you paid for it. Same day, hour later, you know what? I think you could probably do even $60,000, maybe more, if you flip it. I said, listen, I'm not interested in flipping the damn property. End of story. Okay, well, you don't know what you're missing out on. And I go, yeah, I know what I'm doing. and what I intend to do. So like I said, I'm not interested. Oh, one final attempt. I can get you $80,000 more than what it's worth if you flip it. And I said, once again, I said, listen, I said, I hired you to take care of the paperwork. So take care of the paperwork. Okay? So we do the paperwork, get everything in order, and I had that gut instinct, that seventh sense that most people have that don't even try to use. Said something's not right. Something doesn't feel right. The date for closure was coming up. And that date for closure was less than a week. I mean, it went from basically seeing the property, buying the property, and getting the paperwork done within a week. That's how quickly I moved on it. And the realtor, who I won't name at this time, but he was a RE/MAX realtor. I don't know if that says a lot about RE/MAX, because I've had other people I've had to deal with regards to RE/MAX, and not everybody's always forthright and forthcoming. Anyways, paperwork had to go in that Friday, so it had to be, all the boxes had to be checked off by Monday. And for some reason, after all the paperwork was taken care of, the realtor says, well, let me fax this to the lawyer so we'll get it taken care of right away. And I says, very well. I said, yeah, and I'll take the copies. He says, oh, no, we can just leave. I says, I will take the copies. He says, oh, yeah, sure, yeah, if you want, that's fine, no problem. So I got the copies after he was supposedly faxing all the information that was required. And I thought, no, this guy is, he's a snake. I can feel it. I can sense it. And I'm glad I did sense it. Because the following day, which was the Saturday, I took all of that information and I resent it. I faxed it, copied it, and actually had it couriered to the lawyer before Monday. And Monday morning I got a call from the lawyer and he says, listen, I don't know what was going on, but for some reason we didn't get this specific thing, so we may not be able to make the sale. And I thought, well, according to my paperwork and according to my registration, the company has received all the paperwork necessary to complete the transaction. So what's the problem? He says, oh, this is new to me. Let me check into it and I'll get back to you. I said, fine, you do that. And they did. Got back and he says, I don't know what they were trying to do or what they were trying to pull off. I mean, do they not even understand that this is a legal, could be a legal issue coming up by not sending in all the paperwork that was required? Well, it turned out the realtor held back some paperwork because he wanted to flip it and missed the deadline, so I would lose out on the property. So I swear, that was just the beginning. The intention was even greater then, afterwards. It so happened to be purchased from another company that happened to own it, that owned a place across the street from us. They're saying, oh, yeah, we want to cancel this. We don't want this because, you know what, it wasn't agreed upon, blah, blah, blah. I says, sorry, paperwork's done. All is done. You got more than what you deserved and got more than what it was worth. So I'm sorry, but no, this isn't going to work in your favor to try and, cancel this activity and transaction. Well, from that time on, it only started getting more nasty. And it dawned on me, well, Why would they go to so much trouble to steal property that was legally purchased? Anyways, that's another story in itself. And of course, if you go to www.upincanada.us, all lowercase and all one word, you will come across a video called Changes Are Coming. And that explains a little bit more of what happened in that day and age in 2014, and what's happened since. So here we are, economics. They're calling it the Great Reset. Well, what does a reset do? What a reset is to me is that when your computer is overloaded and all of a sudden it crashes, what do? You reset it, right? Or in this case, let's just say, let's not reset it, let's refresh it. Well, that's exactly what this talk is about. It's about refreshing a system that is already in play and has been for the last 125 years. Ever since the engine and oil and gas revolution. Well, actually not called a revolution, it's called an evolution. So I wouldn't get too caught up in this, the rhetoric about the Great Reset. It's nothing that isn't something that is simple. When you really put simplest, and as Elon Musk likes to say, back to basics, simple basics, you'll find out that a lot of stuff is not as complicated as it may seem. But people of all sorts like to complicate things as much as they possibly can. So let's not refer to it as a reset, because that's what they're referring to it. What they're trying to do is refresh the need to keep the system as it is. And the system doesn't work. It is broken, it is battered, it is damaged, it is collapsing under the feet of all of the people who are not financially connected to it. Because the only benefit that this is going to be is for the people who have economic interests in it. Hence the title, Economics. So, yeah, it's called a refresh, not a reset. Because they're not changing anything. They're trying to keep things the way they are. And we need to get that through our skulls. They're trying to keep things the way they are, and they can't. They shouldn't, and it will be the destruction of us completely. But that's one man's opinion. And I base my opinion and resources on instinct because, when it comes to biological forms of any form, they survive because of instinct. And it is no different than somebody up on the high plateaus working with their instincts as to what they feel would be more secure for them by doing this so-called reset. It's not a reset, it's a refresh. And that refresh cannot be sustainable. It can't happen. And I don't think it's going to, in all honesty, because people are awake. They have been woke, as the saying goes. So that's the 4 titles of my 4-piece series. It is the narrative, the overreach, the outcome, and the economics. That's the only thing that has interest here to anybody. So, I'm your host, Dominic Raphael. Or you can call me the Doctor, because the Doctor is signing out. So check out www.upincanada.us. And hopefully over the next few weeks, maybe months, depends on how things transition, we'll have more for you, a lot more. and something with a lot of interest too. At least I hope. So here's to you. Cheers. From up in Canada, I'm Dominic Raphael. The doctor is signing out. Cheers. And let's go to 2022. 1, 2.